Hey everybody, it's Brandon Luzier from Fear the Cryptid, and today I'm going to show you how to make an SLS camera for ghost hunting. Now typically if you go to buy one of these online from a ghost store, you're going to pay anywhere from $300 to over $500. So today I'm going to show you how to make this all for less than $250. This was kind of customized to the way I wanted to build it to, so you could always cut some cost off of here as well if you wanted to build it a certain way. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the pieces that I have. Now over here is our Kinect camera. So this is what will give you the little stickmen that show up when you're ghost hunting. Now this is actually a pretty cheap piece to this build. You can find these on, eBay, old retro game stores, anything like that. It's anywhere from $5 to $10. I would not pay more than that because you can find them cheaper. So this one I got for $5 online, so that was nice and cheap. And then I also bought this mount over here in the back, and we'll get into how or why I picked that one. But this is an Alpha line sensor mount for the Kinect, and this one was about $10 to get that mount. Now this is the first generation Kinect camera. So if you're looking and you're not sure which one to get, so for SLS, you need the first generation, and you can tell it has these kind of angled corners. So you see how it kind of comes to a point. That's an indicator there for you too that this is just a first version. Other than that, we have this camera rig. I got this because I'm going to have it where I can set it up and leave it without holding it. Otherwise, if I'm walking around, I can use two hands to carry it because it will have some heavier pieces in here, so it's just easier to support. That camera rig was a little more expensive. This was about $39 on Amazon. This part is probably the most important piece to this build, and this is your power bank. Now I got one here, it's a 10-like. This one has PD charging, and what that means is it really can charge your computer, where not all power banks can do that. But this one's nice because it has the AC plug, which we'll use for our Kinect, and it also has this orange cord that pops out, which is a USB-C cord, and we'll use that to hook up to our tablet. And this charger is really nice, this battery pack, because it lasts a very long time. That one with a coupon, so watch for it when it has coupons, was about $69, but it's well worth it. Over here is a universal tablet mount. This one does have a little tripod hookup too, but you can extend this so it's universal. It'll fit any tablets that you pick up. That one, let me just check, the price was about $12 for that mount, so nothing too horrible. Over in the back is a Microsoft Surface tablet. Now, this is where I recommend just kind of watching prices. So I got this one off of eBay. It's an older one. Just make sure you find one that is working and doesn't have issues called out in the listing. But you can watch these and try to find one for cheap. So this one is a larger screen, and it is a newer Pro version, but it only cost me $65. So if you kind of watch and wait for the right listing, try to win that auction, and then you can find one for cheap. So you don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on your tablet. For this one, all you need is something that has Windows 8 or later. This one's a Windows 10, but I recommend now if you're going to buy something, probably get a Windows 11, just because that way you can use it for your daily tablet too if you need to, because they're going to discontinue Microsoft 10 updates coming up here soon. So. Other than that, over here is this blue project box. This is just an electronic project box. It's metal. That one was about $18. And we'll use that kind of to hold all of our pieces, our cords, our battery pack, and all of that will go inside that box. Over here on the bottom, this is a Kinect AC adapter that'll hook up to your Kinect with this plug, but then it plugs into your PC with this end. So that'll help power that Kinect and hook it up to our tablet. And that one was about $12, so not too bad. That was on Amazon. I could pick that up as well. And then These pieces down here are just some things that I had, from other builds, but if you need to pick them up, you can probably buy a bag of each for 99 cents. But I just have a half inch flat washer. I have some number 12 small stainless steel washers. I had an extra big one lying around too, so I just have that here. A 1/4 inch by 20 nuts, and we just need one bolt that is a 1/4 inch by 20, and this is a 3-inch one. So overall, probably 5-6 washers, 3 nuts and a bolt, and a black rubber washer there. This piece is a spacer. It's just a black tube. You could also use more nuts if you wanted to make up that space. I'm just using this to cut down some of the distance on this bolt. So I'll show you that in a little bit. But overall, this, like I said, if you just kind of watch for your prices, you can get some that are nice and cheap. This is the last cord here. This is a USB-C end that goes to your tablet. Now, depending on what version of the Surface you have, you'll want the end that connects. So some are like this with this tab, and then some are magnetic ones that just kind of snap to it. So just whatever tablet you pick up, make sure you get this adapter as well. So that is the inventory of our pieces. This one is very simple to put together. I'm doing this build without cutting any cords. So that makes it easier for anybody to kind of pick up. The only tools that you'll really need is a screwdriver, and preferably if you have a Phillips that's short, that'll just help get it into that junction box a little bit easier. And you'll need a drill with some drill bits. The only thing that you could possibly otherwise use is maybe a small knife or X-Acto knife, and I'll show you kind of why we would need that. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our build. Alright, we're going to get started with the electronic project box. Now this is metal. It's got vents in the sides, which will help airflow, which is great. I do have some holes drilled in here right now, but I'll show you those in a little bit on what I did there. But there are 2 sides that have 4 screws. You can choose which side you want to do. I chose this side. I unscrewed those 4, and then this metal panel will just pop right off. Now this is where we are going to store all of our cords and our battery pack. Now on the bottom, there are 4 feet. We only need to use 2 of the feet. So the 2 that are closest to the spot that we opened, we're just going to unscrew. And all you have to do is take your screwdriver. So if you have a short one, that's even better. You can get in there and then unscrew it. Now I have these kind of pre-loosened here, but you can just go ahead, unscrew those feet. And we'll do it one more on this one. And we'll get that screw out. So that's kind of what it's going to look like here. Now I do have some holes drilled, like I had mentioned. So one here on the top is just a small hole. That is enough to get the bolt through. So that's all we're doing, is drilling a hole just to fit this bolt. This larger hole off to the side is going to be for our Kinect camera. Now you only have to make that hole as big as the cord. So if I grab this long cord here and I grab the end, you just need the hole big enough to get this adapter in, and then this piece behind it in. So long as that can fit in, that's as big as you need to make that hole. Now the last spot that we drilled a hole is on the bottom, and this is again just to fit a bolt and nut that we have. So on the bottom of our camera rig, I'll show you that here, it came with a built-in bolt here that can screw into your camera. That is what we're going to screw into here. So we just needed to make sure that hole was big enough to fit this bolt, and then we're going to put a nut on the inside. So on the inside, when I mentioned before you might need a little knife, all you might have to do is if that hole kind of hits where this gray piece of plastic is, you can just shave off a little bit of that plastic so that does not get in the way. So that is just how to set up our project box to start. So now I'll kind of show you how we're going to add some things to it. All right, so we have that blue project box. We're going to add on our camera rig. Now you can kind of see it has where your fingers can hold it. So I kind of like it like you can either have it like this or like this. This is the softer flat edge. The other side has where your fingers grip. So this is the way we're going to have it. So when we're holding it and we're shooting the room to try to see if we can see any ghosts, this is the way that we'll hold it with two hands. So I'm going to set this down and I'm going to kind of put that bolt somewhere in the center. And then we're going to take that project box and we're going to try to line it up. So here we have that bolt that went through and we kind of want to center it just so you have room for your fingers to wrap around. And then we'll take one of those nuts that we had and we're just going to get this on to start and screw it on. So like I said, if that plastic's getting in the way, you might have to shave that off a little bit. And then I'm going to try to push this a little bit up while I'm doing this. So once you get started at least, then you can kind of position it better before you snug it up. So this one looks like that's kind of where I want it. And then we'll just go ahead and tighten it up. So there. So that's hooked up now. And that's why we also only left the 2 feet on, because if I look at it sideways, it's going to keep itself up since I removed those other feet. Now, up on top, we had that small hole for the bolt. You really want to line that up with the hole that's in this camera rig, because that's where we're going to put that long bolt through. So we have that there, and that'll be ready for our next step. All right, so now we're going to look at that mount that I picked up. Now, why I chose this one over other kind of TV mounts or wall mounts is this one lets you slide the whole Kinect camera right into it. So you see it's got this little pocket. This whole thing will just slide right in. So that makes it nice and sturdy and it won't fall out. So it makes it a lot easier. That way you don't have to cut your cord either. So if you ever wanted to take this apart, you could do so. In the front here, this part slides out. So then we'll put this onto that blue project box, and then when we want, we can just slide this camera right onto it. So we'll kind of tip this over, and this is going to set right on the front. And you can see where that hole lines up. We had that hole that came through the top, it goes right down through, and that'll hold on this mount. So that's also what we want. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and we're going to hook up the bolt to connect our project box to our camera rig. So I'm going to start with the bolt and I'm going to add in a couple small washers. And you can either add a third one if you need. I had this big one, so I'm going to use that one. And once I get those on, I'm going to run it through the hole in the project box and make sure it goes through the hole that is on our mount. So once we have that, I'm going to add some more things here. So we're going to add a nut on here first. And we're going to start kind of threading this one down. Now we don't want to go too far, but we do want to get it started here. All right, so once we have it started, we're going to put another washer on. And the only reason we're kind of doing all this is just to fill this gap here. That's why I have this plastic spacer too. You could use nuts to do the same thing, but I'm going to just use this spacer. So then I'm just going to kind of screw this bolt up from the bottom so I can see it starts sticking out here. I'm going to add another washer, and then the hard part here will be getting on the last nut. So we kind of want to squeeze this between the rig and between that bolt. So if we need to take it back a little bit, you can. I'm going to try to just fit it in here. All right, I might go ahead then, and you can kind of line it up and then start screwing it through that nut if you have it lined up. If you don't, just try again. Looks like I'm missing mine a little bit, so I'm going to fix it and then start screwing through. And now I can tell it's going in, which is better. So then once you have it all lined up, you're going to screw it together and it's going to come right out the top. So this could take a little bit. Otherwise, if you have your small screwdriver, you can put that in there as well. I'm just doing it by hand, and you can see now at the top, we're starting to get that bolt to come through. If it gets too much, once you kind of have it through, you can, like I said, lay it down and use your screwdriver. I'm just going to finish screwing this, and I'll show you the result. All right, so I got that all screwed together, so you can see it's in there. It comes out the top. So really just wanted to get that snugged up, and this is so it doesn't kind of flop around. We just wanted to kind of get this built up in here. Like I said, if you needed more nuts, if you don't have a plastic spacer, that's fine. If you need more washers, whatever you need, just kind of get that in there to fill up that space. Now in the top of this camera rig, there is an indentation for another washer. So I will take my last washer here and just drop it on, and that'll make it kind of flush up here on top. Now, why we had that bolt sticking out through the top is because we want to use it for our tablet mount. So you can see there is the hole here. We want to use the one that's not on the tablet holder, but on the tripod mount here. So we're just going to kind of put that on here and just spin it around to get it to attach. So we'll get that tightened up. And you'll want to, of course, have it end where it's going to be facing you and this open side. So you might have to play with it a little bit just to make sure it's snug right where you want it. So there we go. And you can see our tablet has the spring here for adjusting the size. You can choose whether you want it on the top to do that or the bottom. I think right now I'll probably have it on the bottom just so my tablet is a little bit lower. But that's our first part of our build. So pretty cool. We got the, the project box on here. We got the mount for the Kinect all set to go, and we have our tablet mount. All right, next we're going to hook up our Kinect. So we have the first part of the Kinect adapter here, and then the other part is right here hooked to our Kinect camera. Now, this can be a little tricky just to get it on because we have this pretty tight and this cord kind of hits up with the center. But what we're going to do is, if you kind of look here, it's got an arch that has to hook in the front here. So kind of hook that front in and then slowly slide it down. If this cord gets stuck, just kind of push it down a little bit and then it should just snap in. And now our Kinect is on here and it's not going anywhere. So that is pretty handy. The next thing we're going to do is take this cord and we're going to run the end down through that hole we drilled. So if you haven't drilled a hole, you probably want to get to that. You might have to kind of loosen this to get in there. But we're going to run this cord down there into the box. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, so I ran that cord through, and then I do recommend kind of coiling it up here. So if you have a rubber band or twist ties or cable ties, you'll want to keep this pretty small because there will be a mess of cords in this box once we're done. So this will kind of hold it a little bit better. So then we have this end, which is our end that hooks from the Kinect to our adapter. So I'm going to bring over that AC adapter here that has the ends that goes to our computer and it goes to the Kinect. So you can see the orange ends will match up. So we can go ahead and plug those together. So that is set there. And then on the other end where we have the PC cord, we're going to end up running that one right up that same hole and out the hole here. Because that one will plug into our tablet, and that's what will go ahead and have the Kinect actually, hooked to the PC so it can operate. So then we'll have this AC adapter that we have to hook into something, and that will be our power bank. Now before I put all these cords in there, I need to get the power bank in because that is the largest piece here. So I'm going to kind of move these out of the way. And now we can take a look at our power bank. So this one, like I said, has the AC adapter. That's where we're going to plug in our Kinect adapter. And we also have this orange cord, and this one pops out to give you a USB-C adapter. Now for that USB-C, I'm probably going to run this kind of behind and then back up to the top. And that's where I'll use that tablet adapter that we had. So this was the one that goes from the USB-C to our Surface tablet. So I'll just hook this in here. And then you can run this one also right up that same hole that we drilled before. So that hole that we drilled to get the cord in is actually a pretty good size because everything else that we need to run out of it is able to. So that'll just come out as well. So that is coming from this adapter, but we want to get this all in here. So if we have it kind of set like this, we are able to fit it in. You can try to tip it sideways if you want. The power button is down, or excuse me, on the top here. So if I fold it forward, it's this big round button. You can push it on this type of adapter. You have to, or power bank, you have to push it a few different times depending on what sources you have. And that will show up on the little LCD screen here. So when you have the AC adapter, it'll show. When you have the USB-C hooked up, it'll show. So you'll have to just make sure all those are lit up when you're going to use it. It also displays how much battery you have left, which is also very nice. But I said this thing lasts a very long time, even when we're hooked up to our Kinect and our tablet. So if we wanted to power it on, you can. But I have that cord hooked up for the tablet. And now we're going to use this AC adapter. So this one, we'll have to kind of put it over those that screen a little bit though to get this to fit. So I'll try to show you as best I can here. We're just going to get this in and plug it in. If you wanted to add any Velcro or anything to the bottom here just to hold that power bank, more firm, you can do that too. Or if you want to lay it down, however you want to make it work is perfectly fine. But now that we have that in there, we can go ahead and kind of fill this with all of these cords. Now, the power bank, if you want it closer or easier to get to that power button, you can kind of move that around. But if you power off your devices, you could even reach in there and push that button, and that will go ahead and turn it off. And you can just leave this all in there if you wanted to. The thing that's nice about this blue plate, though, even though we unscrewed it, we don't have to really screw it back on to get it to stay. You just kind of fit it back in, and it does pop in, and it does stay in. So you usually have to kind of get a fingernail or something in there to pop it out. But right now, that is all hooked up. Everything's in our box, and it's ready to go. So the only thing that we have left here is to hook up our actual tablet. And we'll go into the software that's needed for it. Usually that's the part that kind of gets people scared because they don't know really how to build this because they don't know the software to make it work. It's very easy. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. All right, so we're going to take a look at getting the software onto our Surface tablet. So we're going to start and just open up our internet browser. And once we load up here, we're just going to Google, and we're just going to look up Kinect Developer Toolkit, and we want to find the 1.8 version here. So Kinect Developer Toolkit 1.8. You'll see here there is official Microsoft Kinect for Windows Developer Toolkit 1.8. We'll go ahead and select that link. That brings us into Microsoft's website. Down below, you can see we can pick our language and then select download. So we're going to go ahead and download that now. It'll pop up in the corner here as it tries to go through and download. We'll give that a moment to download, and then we'll go from there. All right, so it went ahead and downloaded. So we have it here. It's our Kinect Developer Toolkit version 1.8 setup. But before we open that one up, we're going to stay on this Microsoft page. We're going to search, and this time we're going to look for Kinect SDK version 1.8. And you can see here it popped up, SDK v1.8. We'll select that. And the first link here, we can go ahead, it will take us to the official Microsoft one. And here we see Connect for Windows SDK version 1.8. Once again, pick your language and go ahead and select download. That'll load up here in our top corner and start downloading. Alright, so this one has now finished downloading as well. So now that we have those two downloaded, we're going to start with the SDK setup. So I'm just going to double click that. We'll let that start up here. You'll have to just agree to the end user license agreement and then click install. And I'm going to let it make changes to my computer. And then we're going to let this run. And now it's progressing and just about to finish up. So we'll just give it one more moment for the progress. Alright, and now we get the message. We successfully installed Kinect for Windows SDK. So now we can go ahead and download our Developer Toolkit, which we have done. So now we can go over to that Kinect Developer Toolkit version 1.8 setup. Double click that one. Same thing as before. We're going to agree to our terms and install. And let it make changes to our computer. And we'll let this progress run. Alright, it's just about done. We'll give it one more moment, and now it tells us our setup is complete. So that's great. So now we will go ahead and close this window, and we can go ahead and close our File Explorer too with our downloads, and we can even close our Windows tab here. Alright, so now we're on our desktop, so we can go to the Windows icon, and we're going to find our Developer Toolkit browser, version 1.8. We'll select that and it'll open up with a window here. Now once we have this window, we can go ahead and up on the top, we'll click on this SDKs. Alright, now on SDKs, we'll go down to Visual C++ Redistributable for Visual Studio 2012, and we'll select Go to Web Page here. That will load up for Microsoft. We'll go ahead and download this update. And you can select if you have a certain system that you're working with. Like mine will be the 64. I'm just going to select all these because sometimes too Microsoft does remove certain things from their website to download. So I'm going to just download them all so I have them in case they ever go away. I will select into my downloads, and we'll just look at my download history. So we see that we have those on here now. And then I'll see if while we're here, we can get our other one that we need, which would be our speech platform SDK 11.0. And we'll see, this one was on Microsoft's site before, but we'll see if it's still there. And this is the one we are looking for here. So this is version 11. So let's go ahead and download this one. Same thing, you can choose which platform you want to use, if it's a 64, 86. I'm going to just download all these just so I have them available. And those will process here. Yeah, and if you were back on the page before that we were looking at for what to download, let me shrink this one down here. You will see the speech platform SDK 11.0 here, but sometimes if you try to jump to the web page, it's going to tell you it's not found. So that's why I searched on the site, because it said it's no longer available. So if you can't find something, just go out to the Microsoft site and try to search for it, and then you can probably find it that way. But that's one reason why I do save some of these extra files, is just in case they decide to get rid of any, I have them. So. Alright, so these are finishing up here. Alright, so those downloads are now done. So now I can go ahead and close out of my browser. And we still have our Kinect window up here. But like I said, If you have any trouble going through these links, then you can go ahead and just go out to the Microsoft site and look for it that way. All right, next, we can go ahead and close this out for now, and we're just going to go to our search and type in device manager, and we'll jump to the device manager. I'll make this a little bit bigger here. So then we should be able to see our tree here of all of our different options that we have. And then at this moment is when you'd want to take your Kinect camera and power it on. So if you have it hooked up to the battery pack like we do, you can just go ahead and turn on the battery pack. All right, so once you have the Kinect powered on, you'll take the USB end from the Kinect and you'll plug it into your Surface tablet. Now your tablet does need to have a 3.0 USB port. If you're not sure, you can probably look at your device, see where that port is if it has multiple ports. The Surface I'm using is a Surface Pro. This is model 1786. This has Windows 10 Pro, if you're wondering. But now on this screen, I'm going to go ahead and plug in my USB from the Kinect into my Surface. And once you plug that in, it'll refresh and you will see Kinect for Windows is now in your list. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. So now we can go ahead and expand this. You'll see your Kinect for Windows device. If you want to do any updating too, you can go down to your USB controllers if you need to. If you want to update any of these, you can do so by right-clicking and update the drivers. So that is if your Kinect isn't working for you, you can do so. So just to make sure here, I'm just going to go ahead and update my drivers. I'll just do all of mine automatically. And it will tell you if you already have the best. So as we go through here, you can automatically search. It says you got them already. So this is just making sure that we're all set to go with our Kinect. So these already look good. So now that that is all done and we're plugged in, we can go ahead and we will close out of this window. And now if we go back to our home menu and we look for our Kinect information, we can see we have that Kinect for Windows SDK. We can open this one and then you'll kind of see all those things that we had. We had the Developer Toolkit, we had the Kinect Studio as well. We'll start with our Developer Toolkit again. All right, so on our Kinect Developer Toolkit, we're going to want to scroll down all the way to where it starts with the letter K, where we can see some Kinect options. And what we are looking for here is the Kinect Explorer D2D. And that's what program we'll be running to get the skeleton person for ghost hunting. Now we can go ahead and select run. If you have any issues with it running, you can try to install it right from here again if you have any problems. But I'm going to click run. And it will go ahead and pop up. So you can see me. Hello. I'm going to switch my view. So up on top, if you click views and switch, this is our big screen where we can start seeing that skeleton view. You can check your Kinect. So if you went to turn this on and it wasn't working, it might say not connected. Just make sure you have power to your Kinect and then it will be fine. So here we are. Like I said, I switched the view so we can see it on the bigger view, and you can maximize this window if you'd like. Now, you don't see any of the skeleton lines right now because I'm pretty close. I added my zoom, the Nyko zoom, to the Kinect because I'm in a very small space, so that'll help show you in a second. So I'm going to back up. And now you can see it kicks in. So here I am. You can see my little skeleton outline, and my legs are kind of messed up by the chair, but you can see that I am showing up. And I'll show you after with that zoom how to put that on too if you have one. But otherwise, if you're in a bigger space, wide open space to kind of film for your ghost hunting, it's perfectly fine without it. So now that we have that all set up, the one other thing I want to show you is, let's say you want to use this, you want to record what you're seeing. So if we go down to our Windows and we go over now to our Kinect Studio, this is the version 1.8, and we click that. First, you want to have this up and running, this Developer Toolkit, otherwise you'll get some message that it's not connected, you need to connect. So have this up and running first. But then it'll pop up with this little Kinect Studio, and this is where you can go ahead and record anything that you want, or record this screen here. All right, so once it loads up, you'll see the record button here. I can go ahead and click record, and that'll start to record my screen. So you can see as I'm moving around, we're going to record this, and then when we're all done, we can hit stop, and then it will refresh, and I can go ahead and play that video. So you saw what I just recorded with me waving my hand, and once it goes here, there we go. You can see me waving my hand just like I showed you before. So that is handy. So that's all from what we downloaded. We have the Developer Toolkit to run the program, and then we have the Kinect Studio to record it. Once you are done, if you click X, it'll ask you if you want to save your recording. So obviously if you saw something good, captured something good, you want to save that here. Otherwise, if you just want to discard it, you can click no. And then just to close out, you can go ahead and close out of your screens when you're all done, and then you just power off your Kinect when you're all finished. All right, so here is our final build. I added the tablet to the universal bracket. So just make sure if you're getting a certain size tablet, you get a bracket that'll hold it. We have a couple cords here that we haven't done anything really with before. So this one is the one that charges your Surface. So it comes out at the top of our little electronics box. You'll just go ahead and plug that in, make sure it lights up so it shows that it's got power. And we also have our USB cord that comes from our Kinect, and we'll plug this one back into our Surface. So once those are connected, down here I have all the cords kind of put away. I did flip around my battery pack just so I can have access to the power button a little more easy, and you can see the lights up on top. So just make sure that it is powered on for the AC adapter to power your Kinect, and then the USB-C is powered over to the Surface. Now we're just going to snap this back on. It just snaps in. And there we go. We'll go ahead and go back into our menu. We'll go to our Developer Toolkit. I will scroll down here. We'll go down to the K's again. Kinect Explorer D2D. We'll click Run. Hopefully I clicked it once there. There you go. And it'll load up. I think since I opened it twice, we'll close that out. All right, so it loads up here. We can see it's connected. We have our screen. We can always switch our view. So I'm just staring at my backdrop right now. So that's where it's not really showing anything here, but it's functioning. We can go ahead and maximize that, like I said before. So this is ready to go. And now with the handles, we can just pick it up. We can take it with us. We can angle it. We can, move it around. And it is flat, so we can set it down and leave it if we want to. So just remember to use the Kinect Studio if you do want to record this. Now the last thing here is I was going to talk about the zoom. So I'll spin this around here, and this is the zoom. This is used for smaller rooms. It's really easy to put on. You can just either slide it off or just unsnap it here. It just comes on and off. So it's pretty easy. But if you're in a small space where that's not really working great for you to pick up any of the frame skeleton there, you can just get this and just put it on. It just snaps on, and then you can just slide it till it clicks, and it'll be all set to go for your smaller room. So that is our build. I hope you are enjoying these videos. I hope this was informational and helped save you some money. So for a couple $100, you can get this made instead of spending close to $500 for other SLS cameras online. So please make sure to comment and let me know your thoughts. If you found this beneficial, please like, subscribe, and follow my channel. You can find me on Patreon, and you can also buy me a coffee. But let me know what you think of this. If you want me to build something else, please let me know in the comments, and let me know if you end up making one of these and using it for ghost hunts. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much for watching.